So back in a couple years ago, I was driving to work one day and listening to the radio. It was a generic pop music station because, unlike almost anywhere with any ounce of soul, the Pacific Northwest doesn't have a dedicated hip-hop station. In fact, the closest equivalent is a station that plays Outkast, Nelly, Snoop Dogg, and maybe 10 other songs made roughly 20 years ago. And that's it. So in order to listen to anything that I hadn't already heard 5,000 times, something that tells me anything about modern culture, I have to listen to pop music. So I'm on my way to work and I hear the hot new at the time single from Ariana Grande titled Seven Rings. It's a riff on the song My Favorite Things, a classic that's been etched into the culture for well over 50 years and has been covered by everyone from John Coltrane to Kelly Clarkson. Ariana's take on the song straddles the line between cover and parody, taking the popular melody and the lyric, "These are a few of my favorite things," but replacing the verses with ones about how much money she has, how she has access to whatever she wants all of the time, and how much she just loves that. I distinctly remember hearing this song and making this face while driving. An incredibly wealthy person devoting an entire song to their own decadence, bragging about all the things that they have that almost no one else does. The gratification they feel from spending ridiculous amounts of money for whatever they happen to want at any given time. It produced a rank, sickening feeling in me, and that's not even considering the irony that this ode to bragging about excess, throwing success into the faces of others, was a commercial product being sold to fans, who will sing along despite being considerably less likely to experience even a fraction of what's being described. I had all of these thoughts and was disgusted with the song. But then almost immediately another thought soon took over. Remember my initial remarks about there not being any hip-hop in the Pacific Northwest? I was listening to someone brag about how much money they have and how they spend it. Having grown up listening to rap and hip-hop, this wasn't anything new to me. Rappers often devote bars, entire songs, hell albums, to doing this very thing. Bragging is to hip-hop what rebellion is to punk. So why did this Ariana Grande song get under my skin the way it did? Why did something I'd heard countless times before instantly become grating when uttered from her lips? My first thought was, well, sexism. Men are bold, brash, constantly engaging in pissing contests over who has what and who doesn't. So it probably just hit differently when a woman did the same. I must have felt threatened by her raw female power. But then I remembered all of the female rappers throughout the ages, all the women who picked up the mic and did what most rappers do, brag. How at no point had I ever heard this and felt threatened or repulsed by what I was hearing. Therefore, I concluded there had to be more. I then considered the nature and differences of the music styles themselves. Ariana Grande is a pop artist, and I had been thinking about bragging in rap and hip-hop. It was at this point that I came to the following conclusions. Firstly, rap and hip-hop contain a kayfabe. Kayfabe referring to the staged reality that exists in professional wrestling. Confused? Okay. When two wrestlers enter a ring to have a match, everything about it is simultaneously real and unreal. They are doing real moves that really hurt but are unreal, and that they are intentionally done to not cause injury. They are engaged in disputes that are real in the sense that they fight over them, but are unreal because they're made up. The portrayal of the unreal within the real that we know isn't real but enjoy it as if it is, that is the kayfabe. So you're listening to a rapper talk about moving and selling ridiculous amounts of coke, being hounded by the feds but heroically refusing to testify, and murdering his enemies to hold on to the crown in the streets. This is on top of bragging about all the money, jewelry, etc. that they all have. Is this real? Well, it's complicated. There's a lot of bragging here, and much of it is wildly exaggerated. Some rappers have sold drugs, but that is far exceeded by those who have rapped about being actual kingpins. There's been more than enough violence to conclude that there is some truth to the lyrics, but again, they're wildly exaggerated. The lifestyle of rappers exceeds that of most people, but is probably nowhere near what is told in the songs. The role of the rapper is just that, a role. One which we enjoy despite knowing of its inauthenticity. Now you may say, well, isn't this true for any actor or actress? We watch TV shows and movies and authenticity never even enters the equation. Well, yes and no. Rappers, like wrestlers, are living as a character. Tom Holland plays Spider-Man, but when he gives an interview or he's recognized in public, he's Tom Holland, he's not Spider-Man. Mark Calloway is The Undertaker, and when he does an event, he's The Undertaker. Almost no one knows who Mark Calloway even is. If you saw Jay-Z at a pizza shop, you wouldn't tell people that you saw Sean Carter, it was Jay-Z. The rapper lives as his persona, makes music playing an over-the-top character that we simultaneously recognize as being both real and unreal. So when someone, say Ariana Grande, who we don't recognize as just being an inauthentic character, sings about being absurdly wealthy and having all the things most never will, exaggerated to an absurd degree, it doesn't come off as something that can be dismissed as part of the kayfabe. It feels cruel, like someone rubbing their success into the faces of those that aren't. And that is how, justly or unjustly, Ariana Grande taught me about the existence of the hip-hop kayfabe.